Hello, everybody. I am Brenda, Power Medicine Woman, and this is just Let's Chat. Spirit wants to get on just so we can communicate. I always listen to what Spirit says. They're just suggestions, but it is important to understand that when you get moved by something, you do it. So let's just chat. And that's what we're going to do. So if you have anything that you would like to talk about, hi, Lenore, then let's talk. So this is just to sit here as a open discussion. I wanted to see what it was like to be on just my personal page. Hi, Amy. And versus my fan page. There seemed to be very restrictive. So I have my other fan page, but I'm exploring. That's what I'm doing. So let's just chat. We're going to chat about whatever it is that you guys want, giving you that opportunity to ask questions that you may have, I don't know, about my life or about the universe, or how do you live with something. You know, it's very important to begin to understand that you can take this candid moment with me and just talk. So just a few minutes ago, I came up against my Arrested Development. Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. Yes, and you know what's nice about seeing the sun that you get to see all the time, Lenore, was when I lived in Michigan, I'd only see this beautiful color of sun that you guys hear, which is a little bit of yellow and a little bit of extra brightness. It would always be at spring. And that was the one thing I loved about spring, was that it was the beautiful. It's just that you get up, there's this refreshing beautifulness to it. So you can't see it, but it is very yellow. So one thing when I woke up in Australia, especially during winter, it's cold, right? In Michigan, you would wake up and you're like, oh, I wonder if there's snow. Because there's always that one fine, crisp day, maybe Betty would know, is a fine, crisp day. Because all of a sudden it'd be like you wake up, you could smell it, you could feel it, and it was just crystallized. And then you'd run to your bedroom window and you'd open your curtain and there was fresh snow, no footprints, no animal prints, just this glaze. And the sun would, like today, would just glare. Not hot, but glare, and it would just glisten. That's what I like about it. And that's what that reminds me of. So every time I'd be cold and I go outside and I would open the door and how beautiful it is. I live in South Australia. Think about this, Brenda. The sun is gorgeous. There's no snow on the ground, but it's beautiful. Yeah, and no shoveling that snow. I'm glad I could do without that. And the cold, and so, and it always shocks me because I have to layer up. I go outside and wait, it's warmer outside than you imagine. So the getting to the adjustment here is your winters remind me of my springs and falls. Yeah, see, Betty knows. I do miss that crispness, but it's the yellow sun. It is that you still have the crispness without having the snow, and that's what I love about it. This is just, like I said, a candid thing. We can talk and explore. I was healing about procrastination, and I recorded it. So I'm thinking that I might put it up so you guys can see how I do a self-reading, so you can understand what that means. And not only a reading, but a healing as well. It's just, I don't know. So if you guys want to talk about something, you go right ahead and you ask the question and we will talk. Spirit wanted to know what this was like if I just were to, about this format. And because I've seen other people do it, can never understand it. And I think that's why they're making me do it. You like this idea? Oh, it's just, will it pull in numbers? Will it pull in people? Will it pull in, or was it the nice idea that had to do with it, that, how do you do a self-reading? Uh, there's so many ways I can answer that. And it doesn't help that when I look over to read, it's like my eyes jumble the words up. So random. Yeah, it's the I'm very random, and that's one thing always about me. What are you trying to do? See, that's the thing, Jennifer. Spirit said, just get on and experiment with my personal page versus my fan page and just chat. Let's do randomness. And this is an open forum. People have questions, and people ask me lots of questions offline. And it's like, if people are asking me the same questions or similar questions offline, why can't I just do it on a forum so that everybody can understand that I can only have to answer once? I'm not doing too bad with the 5D. I did feel the settling down of that energy. And it's like, what do I do next? And yesterday I got up, and just before I did, I thought, oh, I've got this appointment and this appointment to do. Oh, I need to be more efficient. Now, like in the morning, if I'm just not getting enough sleep, I just drag butt. So as I'm waking up, I'm like, no different than any other day. But as I addressed and communicated that I had this to do, and I said, Spirit, okay, I have this to do. Thank you for the day. Because it's, gratitude is receiving. Thank you is that it's coming. And here's your tracking number. And just moments after I said that, it was, oh, okay, we're going to get her more efficient. So I'm like, oh, and they go, okay, reach over, grab your socks, put your socks on. Oh, here's your pants. Oh, make sure you grab the watch and you grab the iPad. Oh, you do this and that. And instead of walking back and forth to the bedroom, I got all these things gathered and walked into the next room, and everything was efficient again. As I turned the teapot on, grab the thing of water, go over and do this. It was very efficient. I'm thinking, well, I can do this while I'm sleeping. This is pretty good. So I've noticed that about myself, that the energy in this 5D is that when you've asked, you can really feel like you're getting a faster response. Oh, that thought just ran out of my head. Yes, I decided to, this is where you ask a question and I will answer it. Some of you, I have not seen your name here in a while. So I am a medicine woman, and I talk about spirituality, and sometimes people want to know what's going on in my world or how I got here. Glasses. Okay, this is the other thing that I shared with Amy was somebody commented, oh, wow, you look younger. And somebody else commented, and I'm like, yes, I feel different. Now, I also don't look the same. And I've noticed this, that my face is different. But it's not just that. Hello. This is going to sound strange, but my boobs look smaller and my hips look wider. And so I physically feel a different shape. Now, my clothes all feel the same. Energetically, to myself, look different. It had nothing to do with the healing. It was that energy of the 5D coming in. I mean, my face is different shape. My body feels different. People said I look younger. Now, I actually bumped into this woman through a friend, and she does, let's see, what my job is on the planet is to be this bridge for you to wake up from the ego sleep to, as you wake up, what do you do with all these emotions and these thoughts and all of these habits and patterns that are hell? What do you do with them? Well, I teach you how to cope, handle, deal, and pacify. No, I help you resolve all those coping tools that were unhealthy. And I teach you how to mature and grab your wisdom so you can resolve your issues, so that you don't have to go back into those old patterns. So it is a bridge that I give you, the self-help tools and the education from looking at it from different perspectives, understanding life's a mirror. So then you move into the next direction. Well, this woman came in and she does it from another layer out there. And all I can feel is that it has to do with the stories in the timeline, and it's the dimensional stories. So as we begin to wake up, we're like, my story of how the world was in the past may not be the same as how the world was in the past. And this is like past life memories and things and different stories playing out. And there's a part of me that knows that I wasn't just human. Human was not our first thing that we chose to be in this world, or I should say, as consciousness unfolded itself and created. So the woman, when she talks, there was this way of changing the frequency, and I don't even want to say it's the monadic blueprint, but it was a form of a schematic within that Adam Kadam blueprint. And anyway, she was working on me, and she said, I'm going to look different. And I think it's taking place, because as soon as the 5D started to shift, I'm not sure. You get so used to yourself that even though you don't like those features, this is the weird part, when you don't like those features and those features change, you don't recognize yourself, and that kind of freaks you out. And your brain's going, I can't accept this. My brain says you can't accept this. And it really is very much, for me, it's an interesting trip, because even just the small changes, I'm like, who is that? And I don't know if I like that. So my brain is telling me it's seeing something new, and it doesn't know whether to accept it. It's in the shaman's tale of how a shaman will see frequencies and things that are different and wait and focus and then see what's causing it, instead of saying, oh, it's that, and that. It is you take and you finally bring into view and accept it in your brain that that's something new. And then you pass that information on to somebody else. So I'm getting to experience it by looking at myself going, oh, I am changing. My brain says, we're not ready to accept that. And I'm like, I'm aware of that. Some things are really bizarre looking. Like, I do not like the way my nostril is on this side. It's so weird. It's not about profile. It's about my face looks different. Looks like it's smaller here and longer here. Anyways, the whole point is when you start to change, how many times have you realized? I remember when I was 34, I did not seem to really look in a mirror for almost 2 years. And my body shape changed so dramatically. Within just a few months, I was avoiding the mirror. And then when I finally thought I better really look at myself, and I could, that one, because it was so dramatic, that one threw me. You learn to accept it, but it's still very dramatic. Any questions? Again, any questions? This is a question and let's talk and communicate format. So comment, and like, and all of this that helps, because Spirit says, I need you to get out there. And I'm like, but I'm doing it. And they go, no, you need skills. Okay. I need skills, and I need to have other people's knowledge. And that is, the more you comment, that actually changes the way Facebook sees it. Those little faces, I don't see them on my screen at all. It's weird. I don't know how you're doing it. On my other fan page, you got those little emoticons at the bottom, and you can hit light, love, and all those. But yeah, see, somebody's doing it right now. I don't know how you're doing it, but I don't see it. But anyway, Spirit says you need to learn how to communicate and learn these skills. I had several dreams last night. Oh, I had some really weird ones too of Jennifer Osika. They were several dreams in this. Oh, wait. Last night, part of the day. Okay. They were several dreams in the same one. While I was walking, I was in another place, and I couldn't get back to where I was. Any thoughts? Now, what Spirit has just said, the uniqueness about dreams is that you can look them up and really get in there. But when you're talking about another place, that can be different. And then as I asked Spirit, okay, when you have the chance of dreaming, it's about that processing, but what are you processing? So there are something that you're dreaming and it is continuous. There seems to be a play out. As Spirit says, you couldn't get back. It was in another place. And as I asked Spirit, they're saying it has a lot to do with the way that you're pointing to what? You're self-conscious. So you're coming self-aware that something's not the same. Can you accept it? The other part is when growth occurs, it can happen on a whisper or a bitch slap. Sometimes we want to go back to what's familiar, and it's not good things. Like when you get a divorce or you break up with somebody, you want to, in Christmas time, and you're lonely as hell, you go back to what's familiar. And the problem with that, I cannot get these straight. The problem with that is that the familiar is what you're supposed to break your habit from. Did you know that part of it is that you can do all the studying you want, you can do all of the spiritual growth you want, and the problem with that is if you don't address your life issues with relationships and people and story and communication and habits, if you don't take care of those and resolve and evolve from that, then it really doesn't matter how much education you get in the spirituality realm or practice it. But if you don't literally take it, like in the dreams, and apply it to your new world, you're going to keep rejecting and wondering why your life is turning out like shit. Julie has, like, you know what's funny is I dreamt of Jennifer Osika. I was in your attic. Okay, I don't understand it. We had to go through the square thing and push myself through. And the way that it pushed on me, I was like, oh my God, that hurts. I got it. So it's like a birth, but it was really weird. And I ended up into your attic, and we had a flashlight. And we're walking around. And we're getting to the one part of the house, one part of the attic. Now, here's the weird part. I see this pile of clothing lift up, and I notice that there's a head. Now, Jennifer's standing right next to this head, but she doesn't seem scared. Now, if you know Jennifer, she has the water element, and fear happens to be one of them. And boy, does she know what fear feels like. Because I stood too close to her one time, and I felt it. But anyway, she kind of wasn't surprised. But the boy, I would say maybe his 20s, hi, I'm the man called Jesus. And I'm looking. Jesus. Wow, you're young. And all of a sudden, this other girl, she popped out of nowhere, but apparently knew Jennifer, was trying to distract me and just chatting me up. And I happened to look over, and that Jesus had a cigarette, and he was high. You could see out that Jesus was camping out inside this attic. And, higher self represents the addict, but he wasn't maturing. Now, I don't know if that was for you per se, Jennifer, or if it was for me because it was my dream. But as I'm looking, I'm noticing that this boy and this girl, they have not aged. And again, the addict represents that higher self. As you're going into that higher planes of existence, and you're supposed to having higher knowledge. And I'm looking and going, he hasn't let go of any habits. That's not the Jesus I know. And then I thought, do I need to change the way I know Jesus? And it was like, no, look at his age. He hasn't matured. So and it goes back to, you need to go and release all of the stuff that is habitual and the things that you bitch about and you this and that. You have to let go. And yeah, and yours, the lions, has to do with strength and to moving forward. It's that strength to be able to do it. But you knew it was going to come soon. So you're going to have to eventually address those things and make some hard decisions. Otherwise, a bitch slap's coming. It's not good. This hat, thank you, Natasha, is the one that my dead mother, deceased mother, gave to me through my friend Lenore. My mother died in 92, and I kept hearing, get some Angora. And I'm like, well, I'm in South Australia. I don't even know where to go buy anything Angora. And then Lenore, my friend, came over, and she left her hat behind, and then I told her, and she's, you can just keep it. And so I'm holding on to the hat, and then I'm like, this is really pretty. Why can't I put it down? And I thought, wow, what a lovely gift Lenore gave me. That was so sweet of her. To me, this is precious. It may mean nothing to her, but it means a lot to me. And I'm like, why? Why does it mean so much to me? And then all of a sudden I hear, look at the tag. And I look, and it's 50% Angora. Of course, I bawled like a baby because I got a gift from my mommy. Thank you. Yeah, well, and I just threw myself together. Now, what's funny is that even though Julie hasn't talked to me today or anything, I know Julie's, I could feel that before I even knew you were even going to come on. I felt, wow, Julie's strong today. She really, she loves being a helper in this, on the other side, so much. She said it was more fun than being a teacher, and she loved teaching. See, and the best part is when you are, because Pilly says, these are dreams I haven't lived in this life. And that's the other part of the 5D, is that I think that we are waking up to that historic timeline. And remember, in that part of our brain, it's called the reptilian part of our brain, and it's not to do with reptilians, but it has to do with ancient memories. And it's, if we could tap into that, it has every single memory that's not just ours, but it's the oneness, which is everything. And I think part of that got activated because I felt like I was a spirit tree woman. I felt that all of a sudden I got wings and I was a dragon. I felt that I was a bird. I felt I could feel about 15 characters that are starting to evolve. And years ago, I started to evolve the goddess parts of me. Now I feel like I'm evolving the elements and things like this, the things that don't make any logical sense to us because we're like, oh, it's not, because it's not human. But there's something going on as far as the integration. Pam, I think download. If you feel lost, understand if you're just a program and repeating something, what lost is an emotion. And if you could look at why your body, the body's consciousness knows you better than you know yourself. Why does your body want to even feel lost? It's telling you that you're repeating something. And moving forward and evolving means you're supposed to let those go. And if I were just to really check, wow, as soon as I went to check, all I heard was that it has to do with the damaged self. The damaged self was lost? Yes. So do you need to reclaim? Do you need to heal? What do you need to do? She needs to, she has broadcast message. You have a broadcast message that you have off from you, and I don't know what that is. And it's a way that you take action. Something to do with fighting with the world. So do you see the world as the enemy? No. It feels like you have to fight in this world. Okay, and the thing is if you're being spiritual and you're doing an old program of ego of feeling that you have to fight in this world, those two can't bridge over. And the one thing about making things that are unconscious, incompetent, competent, and conscious is that there's that flip. And eventually you're going to have to choose which master you want to serve, more of the ego or more of spirit. And if you're going to do more of spirit, that means you have to resolve out the emotions that cause you to stay in the ego, because the ego is not going to let go. I mean, you over-identified with matter. You gave birth to that. You created an identity. You created the thought form, and it's your job to take the emotion off of it. What else we got? Wow. 5 years? Wait, the 5th. Oh, I thought you said 5 years. Her anniversary is coming up on the 5th. Yes. Well, how many years has that been? Oh, wow. So when you begin to look at, like Amy says, dates and times and the timeline, she says it had been 65 years that her parents would have been together. When you begin to look at these timelines, you can look back and reminisce. But there's something interesting about it, because it triggers to you where you're focused and what comes to a revelation and what needs. 2005. Wow. Yeah, that'd be about right. Sorry, my memories are going back to how I knew Julie. Julie was responsible for connecting me with my good friends and family, the Takels, And then I started collecting Jennifers. I had 3 Jennifers all at one time that just came all at the same time. They're not related, but anyways, the name was. For some of you, this is new. I normally let Spirit talk and then I do readings. But Spirit says I needed to jump on to my page, my personal page, because a lot of you don't know I have a fan page. A lot of you don't even know what I'm doing. It doesn't seem like 14 years, does it, Pam? But then, wow. So when it comes to how I want to show up today, I don't know. I'm asking Spirit, what does that look like? What does it look like? A lot of you are new to me, and some of you are not. I don't know what time it is there, but I'm seeing a lot of U.S. people. Oh, wow. Billy says, I got into a closet that turned out to be an elevator that took me and stopped at different places. And I was waiting for it to come back to where I got in. Wait, did you do the Lionsgate with us? Because that's what we did. And it's like a wormhole or a teleportal, and it is an elevator. It's yeah. You're going to elevating your frequencies when you do that. Places in the U.S. but different years. Finally got back when a priest said, all you need is a 10-cent coin. Oh, so basically you needed energy to create the end and the revolution. You're done. Let's start over. So it's about change. It's those little changes. And placed it in the elevator and I got out. But about 2 years had gone by when I got back. Weird. So you can actually evolve quickly when it comes to spirituality. It depends. See, in your mind, and I will talk to people and they'll say, oh, well, I can't heal quickly. It's going to take at least 2 years. And I'm going, really? You could really do this fast if you want it. No. It's what you believe and accept, okay, and you give your willpower to. And sometimes when you're doing spirituality, well, not sometimes, a lot of times, that's what Hope Therapy does. That's what EFT does. That is what when you get attuned to Reiki, like with Dragon Reiki, it's not even really about hands-on healing. It is about, how do you want to put it? It's your fast track to waking up. And so what you described to me was that you were growing, you're changing, and things look different. Can you accept it? Do you want to go back, or can you allow yourself to adjust? I've been missing your lives notification. Okay, Danny, this is done on my personal page. Spirit told me to do it on my personal page. Yeah, so where is everybody from? I'm just curious, because I know that they're United States, and we have Minnesota, and the time difference there, CST, good. And then 11:35 p.m. Okay, that's Eastern Standard Time, Betty. I love that, her name, because we're cousins, but that's my mama's name, Betty Portis. Okay, so you've been taking and elevating yourself, and yeah, once you start tapping into, like Jennifer Osika will tell you, that you start working with that energy frequency of my field, you'll get these different things that can happen to you. And like, she needed help and I wasn't there, and people have told me this several times. They like prayed, and somehow I was there, and they could feel that I was there, and it helped them. I mean, I even had this guy that I've never met before or really ever talked to wrote me and says to me, oh my God, every time you say it is done, he says, I see miracles happen. And he will write, he passed now, but he had wrote me and told me that I've got the Einstein factor. And he says, because he would always write me and say, hey, could you pray for somebody in my congregation and all of this? And I'd say, yeah, sure. And he would witness. And I'm like, wow, so he was tapping into that frequency field that I'm in, which is incredible. Yeah, and see, Jennifer says we can do it in a matter of minutes. Get it done, you know. So healing, I don't even know where Spirit was going with that, because I was just staring at it. Yes, Davison. I haven't been in that town in so long. New South Wales, wonderful. See, yes, there we go. Here's a hashtag. I'm not sure whether or not I'm going to do readings yet. I just, a Spirit told me to get on. This is very spontaneous. I'm a very random, spontaneous person, which sounds funny. But Spirit says, just get onto your personal page today and just talk. And I'm like, what? What are we talking about? Random. I said, really? I said, nobody's going to show up. They go, So some of you never know that I'm on my fan page, and that's where I do all the videos. So I never know if anybody really ever sees what I put on my personal page either, because most people are quiet. And I'm getting really PO'd with Facebook. They keep messing with my one fan page. They let no sharing. I cannot, people will want to copy and paste the link, and they say, sorry, that goes against community standards. I have wrote them, and every time I do, they say case closed, and I'm like, but you didn't fix anything, you didn't guide me to do anything. I have messed with my page, I have tore it apart. I don't know what they're telling me, and unless they stamped it as it's bad, I don't know. On my other fan page, it's just fine. Well, you're welcome, Kelly. And that's why you're right. And when you tap into my field, like you have done the Lion's Gate, and if you walked through the meditation, you also are setting yourself up on different frequencies. And so what's going to happen from then on is that you're on your fast track to advance yourself, because if that's what you want. Because I've been attuned to, the reconnection, Reiki, I can't tell you how many different levels, and then different forms of hands-on healing. There's at least 20 modalities there. and all of them had led me back that we're energy, and we need to address emotions, because every time I would put my hands on people, it would be emotions. People used to call them the Brenda specials. You'd come to my house to get on my massage table, and then all of a sudden I would just start putting you back together and just randomly touch, hold, reconnect. And then I'd say, you got pain? And you're like, eh. And then all of a sudden it'd be 0. And then you'd like, this is happening. And then I would do my thing. My biggest one was my family member came in, and they had this pain ever since they were a teenager. And so then as I'm talking to them, I didn't really do much except for I could see the energies, the frequencies, they're all toning. I'm watching all of these because I could reach up and grab tones and like tuning forks. And even though I had real ones, these would all would start vibrating. And the next thing you know, this person that wanted help was skeptical about that because he was there for something else. And so I said, okay, let's do this. And I just talked him through something, and the next thing you know, I'm watching the energies of the frequencies going through the body. And as he's addressing it in his mind, and I'm holding his forehead, because that's electromagnetic energy, our blood in our hands are, all of a sudden the pain went away when I watched his thought had completely unhooked itself and let the memory be a memory, and the emotion went, the body just shifted, and his pain was gone. It was no longer in the blueprint. It was no longer in the Adam Kadam. It was like, huh. And so he's never had that pain since then. He got it back. He got something similar. And I said, oh, I'm going to ask you a question. I says, did so-and-so, the person he's married to, do this? Yeah, they did. I said, okay, notice that there's a part of you that's afraid it's going to go back like something you learned a long time ago. Aw, thank you. Jennifer says, I miss the Brenda specials, but mostly miss you here in Michigan. I miss my friends. I'm not going to say that I miss my family, because majority of them don't care. I mean, they care. That's why they're bitching. But they got a life. Aw, Pam says, I miss that. Yes, I had a beautiful store. I loved my office. I loved the big room, the big classroom, the meditation room. I loved it all. I need glasses. I'm gonna have to get these fixed. But I knew it was time for my path switch. I knew it was time to move on, and a lot of people were a little hurt and upset. Danny says, you always giving me the best cards and readings. Oh, excellent. Even today, somehow I got and liked your message. I wasn't up for 2 hours. But when I got it back to it, I had literally just caught myself getting down on myself and what to do. You have given me a card for self-worth. I will tell you, when I go to pick the cards, it has nothing to do with me. I will get on. I got this little score number here, and then I got my box that has my stuff on it. And I'll say, okay, I'll look, and I'll say, okay, Danny needs a card. And I'll say, oh, let's go to the wisdom deck and give her number, 4. And so then I don't even really read them. I just do what they say, click, 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 and then click, 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 because there's so many I go through. So I thought so I love that when people tell me how much it's really affected them. Can you do it on distant healing for someone, even though they may not know, by asking the higher self permission? Okay, it's a very good question. First, I'll take the first part. Yes, like when we do videos or people ask me, people would set it up and they say, okay, 8 p.m., I need a healing, and they'll send me about $50, and they'll say, so then I will go and sit down, and I will just start doing frequency changes on a higher level, so that eventually your body, because most of your body is based on that original blueprint, okay? But the spirits, how do you put it? Here's your physical, here's all of your spirit bodies, and that includes mental and emotional, and you have your spirit bodies. Your physical issues Your physical issues are based on what's in those, and that is what I'm clearing. If I can tap into you further by communicating with you, you could get more of a faster result. But some people like to do it slow. I have so many different ways that people want help because of the different type of personalities that I run across. Some people will pay me, and then I will just work on it, and they'll tell me what's going on, and then I'll say, okay, but you need to do this part because you still have to do the homework. You still have to do the hard work. But at the same time, saying that, I've had people spontaneously feel like something's different in their life and they don't quite know. Now, if you're doing it and doing healings, understand you can send anybody any energy. I always put it up on the grid. I call it the bandwidth, but I put it up on the grid because this is where all consciousness is. They're there too. And that's where love is. So I'm doing it with the intention of love. I'm putting it out there. I didn't ask for them permission, and this is why I will send great love out when there is devastation in the world. I don't know who they are. And there will be some people that are crying out. I can feel their soul crying out. They want help. And that's on a soul level permission, not the physical. So I'll send it. And then there are people that's like, no, this is part of my soul contract. I don't want it. That's fine. So I will do what I do. People call it the Brenda special, and I throw it up on the bandwidth, and then energy goes out. Do you know every time you get on to one of my shows, the frequency of the bandwidth is the tension is that you get love, and you have a chance to heal. So the energy is always presenting itself to you. It is always presenting itself. And there will be people that come to me and they say, oh, I don't know. I had something, I was watching your show and now I feel happier. And it must be your show. And I'm thinking, no, thank you. Probably that too. But spirit, not only are they sitting in my office, but your soul had consciously agreed that you wanted help. So that energy is constantly flowing and it goes up on the grid. And if you happen to be on my show, even after the show and you watch this, you're still hooked into it. If you don't want to, you can say no. Your soul will say yes or no. There's a lot of things that you can do. So the answer to this, yes, you can always do distant healing on someone, even if they didn't ask permission, but don't do it through ego. Because if you decide, I'm going to do this, and you send it through the ego, you're not going to really put it up on the grid. You have to be doing through the higher self, through the heart and your gut. You got to trust that spirit's doing the job. Your intention you're holding the tone, you're holding the intention. You're the place marker, okay? And you have to respect when they choose to ask for help. And sometimes they'll be in the bathroom at night and then they're begging for help. Just those little extra prayers, just those little extra things will help. Now, other things people have done. You can do a healing, like for instance, do an emotion code, okay? If somebody's feeling like shit, you can do the emotion code and you put it out there. Now, again, I aim it for the grid. And then I've seen people's lives change. Depends on what you're doing. But if you do it through ego, you're going to have to understand there's going to be a price to pay, because karma will throw itself off. If you are doing it in a very healthy manner, then you're putting it out, and the universe and you are doing infinity. That's you and the universe. But if you're taking your energy and you're through ego and you're throwing it out there, that's your energy, and you're going to create a loss, which is going to cause the karma to, you're fucking up your life. You got to really understand how you're doing certain things. No, that's not good, Amy. Let's see. They keep the memory but lose the emotion. What happens, as Pilly says, so I had said something earlier, and she says they keep the memory but lose the emotion that holds them down. Cool. Yes. your everyday life experiences, you have your sensory system, you have an emotions, and you have thought processing, and you have all of these things, and this is that you accepted and you believed and you put your willpower to, and bam, your 41 thoughts per minute, you know, you have a lot of minutes and 60 to 70,000 thoughts per day. And you have, and the thing is that if you had this experience and you can't stop thinking about it, and you can't stop thinking about it, understand the emotion is vibrating, and it's going to stay vibrating until you calm that down. That's why healing tools are important. You disrupt it, you calm it down, you resolve it out. But with hope therapy, it creates this forgiveness on a different level. It creates a very helps you. Oh God, it does so many wonderful things. The emotion calms down. It's not that you don't know what emotions are, but the emotions don't own you, and the memory doesn't own you. So when you take the emotion off, you just like you kind of shake it out, and you have learned. Our bodies used to know how to do this. They need to be upgraded. Animals in the wild will sit there and they'll have a bad experience, but they know how to shake it out of their body all the way down to their stomach. They get it all out. And then once that emotion's calm, then they go back to the normal life. They don't have to hold on to that emotion, that experience in their face. No, you put the emotion, and the emotion dissolves out. The memory gets to be a memory. And you don't have to refer to that every 40 in the 41 thoughts per minute. You don't have to refer to it 41 times. You don't have to. It literally calms down. And then you get to be hooked back up through your heart and your higher self. You get to move forward. You don't have to hold on to that hell. Oh, don't make me want Mexican food. Los Tres Amigos. I would love to go there again. Yes, I used to live in Michigan, and that was my hometown. When I come back to visit Pilly, I'm going to be doing living room tours or something like this. And that is, as I go from state to state, people will set up, I haven't done it yet, but people have set it up so that they will have like 20 to 50 people or more. And, there'll be a small price to pay that I come and I teach. And it may not be just one session. It could be, what do you call it? Boot camp. Spiritual boot camp, and one day will be about meditations and releasing a lot of emotions. There'll be a lot of other things that can occur, not just personal readings, but it's literally to intentionally move you forward. So there'll be like one day to help you look at your shit and let it go. A lot of family names today. I'm just watching people pop on and don't know if they stay, but my brother, my brother had died, and I had asked, I said, I haven't seen my father or my brothers. I'd like to see some sort of sign. And it's funny because now my brother's name just appeared next to my mother's name. I think that's awesome. Part of the part of the classes, so you're going to have from, I don't know yet. They just said it's going to be bronze, silver, gold, and platinum, and each one of these are different levels that people can pay. And the more you want, there'll be more you get. And one of them is probably in the I don't know if it'll be in that tier or if it'll just be off into my website, because there's offline classes, classes that are live, but there was going to be an apprenticeship and mentoring thing. So I'm not sure how they designed it yet. Right now, it's just these live videos for that. Pam says, change is needed and good, but much was learned from you, and we will continue to be learning from you. Wonderful teacher and friend. Oh, love you too. Thank you, Pam. I probably appreciate that. Oh, thank you, Kelly. That makes me happy. Oh, I better get moving here. I was just talking about your videos to my sister yesterday. She came over and hugged me and said that I looked happier. All right, Betty. Yay. Aw. Oh. Let's see. Yes, everybody. Yeah, I appreciate everything you guys are doing. So when I'm looking at Amy's big toe, Amy seems to be having, what's going on there? Well, you did damage something because in your blueprint, it creates a, you buckled it. See, now here's the thing. I'm going to ask, so why did her, now this is where people get confused. When I say, why did your soul project this? Understand you have a soul contract and you have programs, and these are the shit that has to happen because this is the stuff you said yes to before you came here. And so then it's like, why did your soul project this? And it is, you have an arrested development going on. And in your energy field, the vibe, the frequency, your frequency is low. Okay, so in power versus force, I teach about empowerment because I want you to own your power. Everything is energy, and so I want you to have that. And the more level of consciousness higher you get, the more the natural energy of personal power, love, spiritual power, all of that will just flow with the universe. It's beautiful. If you're doing force, that means ego is going to be the one in charge. Now, how you really can identify that, and you don't want ego to be the one to have to force things. Okay, this is why you have this world that's happening, because in this paradigm, the level of emotion is not that high. Okay, what do I mean by that? It's not positive. The majority of the emotions, and you can divide it up in different countries, different state, different towns, but people are self-centered. And the thing is we're moving from being self-centered to self-centering the self. And the more that you are able to get out of ego and into your higher self, you will go to centering the self, and that's where self-care comes in, and that you will start to take those old paradigms and realize, yeah, it's okay that I take care of myself. That isn't selfish. Now, if you listen to the language of self-centered, it was flipped before because it was not opening up the heart of compassion. And so everything was an I, it. Now we have to know, in order to know what love is, you have to know what it's not. You don't know that you need a light on in the house until it's dark and you're like, oh, I can't see. And then you realize that's what electricity was for. So you flick it on and bam, you get light. And you really appreciate it too. Especially when you're outside and it scares the crap out of you because it's so dark. Tripping and falling is not fun. And so it's very important to understand that the earth, the level of consciousness of earth is rising. That's why you're getting in the fifth dimension. But it's the levels of emotions, power versus force. The more negative it is, the more force you have to use, the more eager you in, and the more hell is going to be. So that's why it's an individual growth that's going to help lift the planet. Because everybody that goes inside will begin to raise their self-awareness that they're in this hologram, that they're in this illusion. Even if they don't know those words, they're beginning to be aware that it's not about separation, war, and out there. They're beginning to understand my inner world creates my outer world. They're beginning to understand that they don't need to talk negative, and they don't have to say negative things to you in order to keep you bound. And we're done being in a bind and bound. Okay, it's time to release that. Because when you bind something and the energy is trying to move, it can cause more damage because it's all about survival. It's all about self-preservation. So you need to unbind yourself. This is why hope therapy comes in, and it releases those bound emotions that you're tied to and own you. And when you resolve them out, your life changes. Why? Here's the huge part. When you're sitting there, you're like, you're watching TV, and you're like, oh. And then all of a sudden your body goes, it's 2 o'clock. She should be mad right now. Yeah, you heard what I said. Your body clock, which is the meridians, the circadian rhythms, know your habits. It knows how you feel at a certain time. Why? Because the meridians that own your body clock, those meridians are controlled by emotions. And so like 1 to 3 people will in the morning will be like, I have trouble going to sleep. That's your liver. You're trying to detox the day. Regardless of the food, you're trying to detox the day. And that's anger. And you got to understand, these meridians are based on emotions. Most of the time, people that having time going to sleep is they go into panic. Panic falls in liver. Okay? Okay, I'll tell you that in just a second. So when you look at these emotions, that's your body talking. You need to understand body talk. You need to understand the language of the body. Your body is sending you messages, but your life is sending you messages. Being that said, life sending messages, Kelly Spencer says, Brenda, really got someone in my life that tells me I'm negative, but they are the only person that tells me that. Now, if it's a pattern that other people have said, then yeah, maybe it's the tone and stuff that you're using. But if it's just this one person, understand, just look at them. What is their behavior? I had somebody that was very gaslighting, very narcissistic, and they came across as this great, wonderful being that everybody loved. But behind closed doors, it was very narcissistic. And anytime I would want to do something, I would get negative shit like that. And then I would second guess myself, and I created this discouragement, and then I'd be caught in this freaking hell. But when I stopped, and when I discovered that they're gaslighting, and other people said they're gaslighting, I looked and I started to study, what is narcissistic? What is gaslighting? What is that behavior? And when I did, and the next time they did it, it was like, oh, I'm not falling for this. So in their mind, they may not be aware that they're a narcissist or a gaslighter, but in their mind, they're living in that field of negativity, that force, okay? Because that's what you're supposed to do. And in that, it is, you're supposed to talk, this is my advice. This is the truth, baby. If they're talking negative when they're trying to tell you the truth, understand it's not coming from the place of spirit. It's coming from the place of their wounds. It's coming from the place of their filters. It's coming from the place of, I know everything. It's coming from the place of over-identification. So that means you can take their stuff as a grain of salt. Now, if it gets to you, that's a different story. So why would her soul project out this person to do it for her? That's the question. So we're going to ask. And that is that you are to let go of something. A pattern of behavior. Okay, so are they right? Is she negative? No. The pattern of behavior that it is about being defensive. You're losing power. So they are meant to show you where you're losing power. Bam. If they say, well, you're being, tells me that I'm negative. Okay, so if we had more, I would have more information, but they're saying that it's also about the exertion of their power. If their role is to be always alpha, you're going to have to find your role. This is where you have to be very careful about what you're willing to put up with, because when you do, you're teaching them how to treat you. And you may not even be aware that it's even happening, because that old power, or I should say force, in that negativity, it did a great job of forcing everybody to think and feel and behave a certain way. When you begin to wake up, and it's important that you start defining certain things and their behavior. If that's what they do to everybody, understand they're going to do it to you. How they do anything is how they do everything. And if this person is really closed-minded, understand, why are you considering the source that they're right? Okay? Just take and look and consider the source. I had a woman that hated me, wanted my life, wanted my children, wanted mom and dad. They weren't my blood related, but I gave birth to children that made that in the family. But this person was not blood related. They came in my world. They hated me so much. And they tried to take my kids, and they tried to take my life. And it was like, what the hell? And it was me falling for the fact that I gave them authority. I was so nice to them, and I thought, okay, I'm just going to be who I am. But I didn't draw boundaries. I didn't say no. And when I couldn't take it anymore because they controlled my life for 6 years, and I said, Spirit, I'm done. Spirit said, and they go, yeah, you dug yourself a hole. And before that, every time they would say something, they put it in a nice way, and they'd be really negative. I believed them until Spirit says, consider the source. They are only trying to put you into their place of where they want you to be, and they know what to say to do that. Why do you say, yes, I'm going to live the way they want? You say no, and you draw the line. And I says, but I don't know how to do that. I haven't developed that. And Spirit says, great, now ask me. And I says, okay, take care of it. And the universe says, okay, hang on, and you're going to be okay. And I said, what does that mean? And then all of a sudden, all hell broke loose. Yeah, Spirit got rid of them. Spirit took care of everything. And that's a different story at a different time, but it was like, whoa. I had to let go that I always had to be the nice girl, and in every night I tried to stand up as to have my power. Then I came across as a bitch, and that wasn't me either. But I did understand that I had to say no more, done. But I had to call in that I had done it alone. I'm not separated. I'm not alone. So when I called in Spirit, Spirit showed me that I'm going to respond to you, and you're done with that part. So consider the source. And consider that old dynamics that's in 3D world that you just let it go, let it go, let it go. Because if you are always responding negative to them, understand it has nothing to do with them. It has to do with how your reaction program was created as a kid. You go in and you're like, oh, even though I respond in such, they take my power. I can't even talk. Oh my God, I'm doing it again. Do EFT. Or set up an appointment and we'll start clearing that shit out. But you need to break the addicted habit to that emotion that says this is how you respond. So your body says, oh, it's 2 o'clock, and normally she gets angry. She's not getting angry. She's not fulfilling her quota. She's not getting angry at herself. What can you do? Oh, we'll make a phone call. Somebody will piss her off. We're based on emotions. Okay. Let's see. Yeah, Billy says, I'm thankful the Spirit told you to go live. You've answered so many of my questions I have had and couldn't figure out. Thanks. Oh, awesome. Thank you, Spirit. See, Spirit knows. Oh, that warms my heart to know this. Okay. Let's see. Good night, Jennifer. Love you. We'll talk to you later. So this is why they want a candid talk. Let's chat. It's not just about readings. It's about spiritual growth. It's about understanding it, because I've been doing readings for people, and if you don't really know what to do with it, and it's not the type of readings, I know it isn't. If any of you ever had a reading from me, is it the same as when I pick a card and say, oh, this is what you want to do? What I pick within the next few months. I mean, yeah, and then grasping for straws. I don't grasp for straws. I read your energy. I see the entanglement cords. If you really want to know, I see variables above your head. These are the choices that you haven't made yet. In the quantum field, in the quantum law of attraction, that's what people are used to knowing. In the quantum field of all things potential, it is endless amount of answers. Why do you keep grabbing the same one? Why do you keep grabbing the same one? Why do you keep grabbing the same one? I say, stop. That's insanity. Because you say you want this and this and this, but you keep grabbing the same one. So there's a tool that actually stops. So when, from doing that. But if you don't know that and you're asking me, then you have an emotion that's blocking. Like somebody said that Pam said they wanted to know about their path. The reason you can't see your path is because you are doing a symptom. Let me explain. Those meridians are based on emotions. And if those meridians run the body and keep it alive, and it is based on emotions, those meridians are going to even create you to have a block. Why? Because this is a response. Like the healing I was doing today is like every time I tried to sit down to do my dissertation, I can feel, and I've gotten really good at now seeing it. Now, see, I knew there was something, but I couldn't see it. Now I'm getting really good at seeing it. And in this case, it's a symptom. My stomach will feel really weird. My head will start to go foggy. I'll get a little confused, and it's like, oh, and then before you know it, if I keep pushing myself to do the dictation, I can get a headache. These are symptoms. You want to know about your path? Check it out. If you can't see it, it's probably because you haven't defined it. And you've trained yourself not to see it because you've never defined it. Well, how do you define something you don't know? What is your passions? A path and the purpose will pop up when you understand what's important to you. What's important to you is your values. Value is what's important to you. Do you understand? Those are interchangeable. When you find out what is important to you, you're going to find your passion. But most of people can't even say that I like this. So I had somebody come to me and I'd say, do you like chocolate or vanilla? I don't know. I said, why can't you answer? I don't know. I says, here, you're going to eat chocolate. I don't want chocolate. And I say, do you want vanilla? No. Well, okay, fine. Here, you're going to have vanilla. Thank you. I said, do you need to go through that process, or can you just, is it okay for you to say, not sure. But if you allow yourself just to answer quickly on some things, you begin to know. You know, you have to also learn to be open. When it comes to a path, you have to learn to be open. I said, okay, I needed a man in my life, and I was ready for this and this and that. I'm tired of all these other people. And in came my ex. Somebody that was completely different than I ever had in my life. And it was refreshing, and I learned a lot, and I had fun, and I grew, but we no longer fit. And I had to be okay with that, because the world and the negativity of force said, that's wrong. You can't get a divorce. You can't do that. Oh, that's wrong to grow. And when I had my family member say to me, stop growing. Just do what they want. And I'm like, wait, whoa, wait, what? Whoa, wait, what? No. And that was my confirmation. Yep, I'm out of here. Because there's a part of me that was like, the old negativity force in the 3D world was, you can't, unless man says so. And it has nothing to do with penis. It has to do with the yang energy of that. I have to be separated from yin, because we don't know the importance that yin and yang are meant to help balance each other. It's not about who's in control. So when you're out of balance, you can stay balanced. The yin and yang need each other. But we didn't know this, so we separated it so that yin had to do things alone and forced it over yang. And then yang did the same thing and then forced it over yin. And then it's like this war that didn't need to be taking place, but we had to take it place because we don't know what compassion and love is, but we don't know how to stop throwing karma out of balance. And we don't understand all of these different things. But if you break it down, that you need contrast. You would never see a polar bear be white if you didn't have contrast, because you have to have different things reflect in order to see it. What's the point of having Earth if you can't understand reflections and perspectives and growth? Earth School is amazing because it works with the emotions and the mental, and it's all about contrast. It's all about growth, and it's all about, but people say, oh, contrast is bad, chaos is bad. Good God, no. I live in randomness, and sometimes it gets a little chaotic, but sometimes that's where the excitement is. And then it goes over here, and it's too quiet, and it drive you crazy. Your spirit is always saying, I have put desire, energy into your space so you will constantly create evolution. But the force people say, oh, God, that's wrong. You should not want. If I'm an ego, wanting in that emotion causes no good. But if the spirit part of you says, I want, because I'm looking, changing it up, you realize that the desire inside of you is saying, look over here. The catalog of life is that you have all of these different opportunities, which is the quantum field. And you're able to see from every single person in the entire world that you never thought of that, or you had thought of that, but they're using it, and you're like, oh, whoa, 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 whoa. And then you get to say, well, that's not me, and that's me. I mean, if we didn't have these beautiful contrasts, my God, one cookie would be just one cookie, and there's no other flavors. Or one flavor of ice cream, one flavor of attitude, and we still do this negative of force, because it's like, oh, your race is that race, oh, that race is different than that race, and therefore you're not supposed to like that race, and because we have different religions, we have this. Good God. The third option is to look and realize that you don't have to stay within that space. Love is about understanding these beautiful things about everybody. And just because some people hate other things doesn't mean that they are your enemy. They are also what I call and teach is rings out of you. And each ring that's out is a reflection of what it is of deeper that you can heal. And people get mistaken and think, oh, I only have to heal once and then I'm forever spiritual. Oh, good God, get over it. If that was the case, you'd be dead. Why? Because you're done. Because we measure between God and ourselves, time, space, and energy, and information, it is all recorded in between spirit and us, because that's our recorder. We're spirit, and spirit, which is God, or however you want to call it, the creator, that all it is. But we carry a soul around, which is our recorder. And we record every moment in a soul's life. Every time it dreams, it creates us. And every time we die, we go back to being soul. So we're constantly eternal. What are you going to do in this dream time? What are you going to do in this hologram of life? You're going to just stay a program? Or are you going to wake up and realize you have a choice? Now, any comments? You guys have all wonderfully listened. Any comments? Anything I can elaborate on? Anything that will help you take that next leap, even just commenting on what I'm saying, because that helps out, according to Facebook, with, oh, yeah. So there's a lot of information. Spirit loves to overwhelm. Why? Because it's not talking to your head, it's talking to your soul. And some of you may like, ooh, I get it. And then other people are like, what? And then some people are like, ah. Oh. And it's all about planting seeds. It's all about changing the vibration. It's all about love. And it's all about whether you want it or you don't. That's up to you. Okay, you're saying you're so blocked right now. Understand that's a symptom. I'll give you a read. Why are you blocked? Because you got pictures in your head that that's the way it's supposed to look. According to your 2-year-old self that you watched in your environment, you're not supposed to be successful. You're not supposed to move forward. Your 2-year-old self is running your program about your path. When I look at your life right now, is the path open to you? Yes. And are you going down the right one? No. Is there a right one? No. Have you made a decision? No. Tell her to set her GPS. Okay. You don't know what your destination is. You don't know what your path is. But what I want is that you to understand about a GPS. Okay, so you got the guide pointing system, and this is very much inside of you. That if you understand how the subconscious mind works, it works on this. It is a GPS. Your subconscious mind, your body is a GPS. And when you program it that I have to be blocked to what I really, really want, because and why? Because you're supposed to be blocked because that's the only way you knew how to cope with what you couldn't get. You had to cope. So that's a coping tool. I'm blocked right now of what I want because it's a coping tool. What is a coping tool? For you, I want this. But if you're 2 years old and your mother says to you no, and you're throwing a fit and you're a tantrum, and they're telling you to get over it, or however it is that they stopped you, understand you had to learn how to cope. Why did they give you a pacifier? Because you had to learn how to cope. When kids throw tantrums, they don't know how to cope. And so they're throwing a tantrum to cope. But if they don't really learn coping tools, managing tools, then they'll never grow from beyond that point. So if a part of you were told that you had to block your feeling, let me explain just a little bit further. When I was molested at 7, I could not get out of my head. So every 41 thoughts per minute for my God was just torture, because I couldn't get that moment out of my head. I couldn't get that moment out of my head. It was disgusting that I literally remember ripping those feelings and threw them out in a field. Those 41 minutes stopped. Okay, it's a part of suppressing. And I could never understand why I was afraid of men, because I had forgotten that incident. I never understood why I could not say no to a man, really. And I'd be quiet. Now, from 7 years up to 32 years old, or 30, did I have a baby at the time? 32, yeah. We're driving down the road and going to Flint in Michigan. I look over, and by God, that field had not changed since I was 7. I don't care how overgrown it looked. My memory came rushing back to me in such a frickin' way, it scared me. And I remembered, not all of it, but I remembered the emotion. I had to rip that out in order to cope, handle, deal, and pacify with the pain of what had happened to me as a 7-year-old that was molested. Do you understand? I didn't heal it. I just ripped it out. That was my coping tool, was rip it out. But it stopped me from being able to act and grow and be mature and do what I need to do. Your block is a coping tool. Does that make any sense to you? And if you, hopefully you stayed on to hear that. If not, it's for other people. But if you did hear it, Pam Pam, just say it. Say, yes, I heard you. But do you understand? That's the thing. Oh, good. Yes, I understand. And so you have to look that this block is a coping tool. So it's going to go to, what I would say is, even though I'm blocked and I can see this block and I know this block, okay, your GPS in your body is always going to go to that block and then create the block. Because that's, even if you're saying up here in your mind, oh, I'm happy, I'm going to go down this path, I think this is the one, happiness will stop at the nervous system of the brainstem, because the brainstem, it stops. Your autonomic nervous system that's in the rest of the body says, I'm programmed to say I can't. So it's never going to take that joy any further until you remove the old GPS. That's why I say your block is your GPS. Your block is your coping tool. Tap out the block. You can feel it. You know it. Even if you have to stare at it, I don't care if it has no words. It's still there, because you wouldn't talk about it if it wasn't there. You need a tool to tap it out, get rid of it. And some people, they make appointments, and then they have them hold certain points, and we walk it through. Oh, wow. Danny says, I hate coping skills and unlearning. But that's what we're doing, is unlearning that shit, that conditioned stuff. Now, understand she used the word I hate. So you're going to always be pushing that rock, that, not the little one, but the boulder up the hill, and it may continuously roll down on you. Why? Because the hate. Now, if I'm going to ask, does she really hate it? No. They say what the word really is that you're obsessed with being repulsed by it. Oh my God. So is that an actual, no. Okay. So you're just repulsed by it. So you use the word that described those, but it is part of your GPS. So you're going to, it's like making sure you punch yourself out before you put your makeup on. What an analogy. Let's see. I learned all of these ones from childhood that weren't always healthy, thanks abuse. So I had to relearn new ones. And now I'm learning not all of those were healthy too. Yeah, That is true, but you're growing. This is taking the unconscious incompetent and open it up to conscious competent, and then you grow. So you have beginners to you know, master's level, or what are you going to call it? You don't know until you develop. I mean, part of what you just said was that you're in kindergarten, grade school, high school, up to graduate school. Okay, you can't just go to graduate school or you won't learn. That's the contrast. That's the journey. That is part of developing and sculpting, spirit sculpting you to be the who you are today. It's like flipping everything you know on its head to learn how to live again. Yes, and it's good that you're losing that identity, because that identity was not doing you any favors, and it would have kept you stagnant because it was just a program. The desire of the soul is to help you keep growing. Patricia Williams Henson says, you made a statement the other day that you have to put your heart in your brain, or something that to that effect. It had made a huge difference for me. It makes me more open and much more centered in the self. Yes, wonderful. Oh, she said she highly dislikes. That's funny. Yes, and like somebody asked me, they paid me to teach them a class instead of do a healing. So yes, it is possible. People will say, I want to communicate with my higher self or communicate with my guides. Then I will go walk you through a hypno meditation, which is it's a frequency, putting your brain in a certain frequency so that you can get past your blocks. And then if we have to use healing tools, we will. Brain just switched. My brain just switched. They just took and switched the chords. Wow. But as I'm helping people, and they're practicing communicating with spirit, I said, you got to get you out of your head and get into your heart. And no matter how much you think, you always have to get your heart and your head together. So you can think, yes, this is what I want. But if you don't put your heart, which is the emotion, into it, then you cannot change your reality. Dr. Joe Dispenza teaches this all the time. He has got documented proof about how the brain and the heart operate. And if those two aren't working together, shit can't be done. And he said he had these people, I want you to unwind DNA. So they thought, nothing. They felt, nothing. When they said, put the two together, and so they had to practice opening that emotion and then applying that emotion to the thought, and they unwound the DNA. Danny. Oh, good night, Betty. Danny says, your guided meditation in Lionsgate was one of the most effective meditations I've ever gone through. Wonderful. Thank you. And I loved doing those. Those are something that I'm going to be getting back into them, because they can take you. And because you've already gone through the Lionsgate, you will be in the next part of when you do a next meditation, you'll go deeper and deeper, and you'll get more into the soul energy. And the more you could do that, you'll get into that next level. Even if you say, well, I have a hard time meditating, it doesn't matter. You're coming in contact with that frequency. And if you're coming in contact with that frequency with me, you're going to be right where I'm at on this bandwidth, which is, take it for all it's worth. I mean, you walk away with it, what you put into it. And so you must have put a lot into it, Danny. You guys have been really good and wonderful. Like I said, this was supposed to be at Let's Chat. And I think Spirit has, are you happy that I did it? Yes. Was it successful? Yes. Totally unexpected. Now, I thank you for everything that you guys have done. Yeah, you can come and see me. And do you live in South Australia? Because if not, I do Zoom or video conferencing, and it's just as if like I'm being with you right there. The benefits of being with me in person is that I can muscle test you and you get more of a different experience. Hi Marie. I think I need to come see you. I don't know. And see, that's a thing. And if you feel empty, so the first thing I would do is walk you down what your body is saying that you can't stop focusing on, which ends up being your coping tool. So if you do come and see me, you need to write, oh, It's not far. Salisbury. Awesome. You need to write down, because once I get done with these, I forget. So write down some stuff, and when I'll recall it, or well, I'll pick it up where I left off. Yeah, Spirit loves to chat. Now, Spirit loves to talk, which is what I do on the other shows on my fan page. But here they just want to chat, which was a lot of feedback right here. And I like that. Hi, Lisa. Yeah, so there's so much wonderful things you can do to really make a difference with your life. I love looking at my students because I can see how they've excelled quite a bit, and I hope they see the same. Are you leaving, Aim? Because you said stay blessed. Oh, that's right. I think Pilly and Lisa know each other, right? I think. Energetically, it looks like you guys know each other. Well, I'm very happy that we had this chat, and it really made me feel like I listened. And Pam, that's what I know I'm probably saying it wrong, but that's what part of finding your path and your passion is getting up. And sometimes you have to do the ugly things in between, but it is, I would have never, ever imagined I'm doing this today. Okay. I just knew that I did not want to work out in that world. That's right. I just didn't want to work out in that world. I didn't want to do what everybody was doing. I didn't want to live in that force, negative condition in the 3D world. And so I said, sculpt me, Spirit. And I knew that I enjoyed this. I mean, I could not put some books down. It was just like, and what can I do with it? I don't know. And then Spirit says, this is what we're going to do. Well, I'm glad that's good information, because see, now I know. And even though I sound like I repeat it, it's a lot, I can show up differently. And the more you hear it, the more you're going to retain it. That's what I know for sure. Spirit all of a sudden just said, what? I don't know. So do you like these? It's not really the same format. People expect certain things, but this was to chat, to get the communication. I would definitely say rewatch it, share, get it out there. This is a different format. So I really appreciate you guys saying, that you like this and all that. That helps out greatly. I got to figure out, because I didn't record it on the YouTube. I did not record it on YouTube. Isn't that funny? So I'll have to download it and then put it back up. Spirit was spontaneous. I mean, I got a Braun. It was like, we're doing this. And I'm like, I sat down, I'm like, can I at least get dressed? And Spirit says, go on, don't take too long. And I'm like, okay, can I get a shower? No, you're going to procrastinate. And you're right. Oh, that's funny, is I see 1 6 4 and a 6 4 and a 6 4 and a 4 and a 6. That's a lot of 6 4s. And my heart rate is beautiful. It's a 6 4. That is nice, and like my hat. Yeah. The story of the hat is in the beginning of the show too. So I really appreciate everything. Since if nobody else, maybe they're all new people. If you have questions, I can stand a few more minutes. Spirit's nudging me if you can see my head move. If any of you new people have questions, it's not about, oh, yes, Danny, thank you. It's not about readings as much as it's a question about reality. It's a question about us, even if it's a question about your life to some degree. I'm going to help. I want people to understand it from a point of view of where you're living or how you're living. The one thing about meridians is that I fall in love with them. I love the quantum field. I love the quantum law of attraction. I love all of that. And see, that's where my passion started to come. I had learned Reiki. I had learned about energies and electromagnetic energies. I learned all those things, but it didn't move me into the direction of saying, I want to do this for a living, until I started to do stuff with Donna Eden. That freaking moved me, because Spirit says, and then I was introduced to Carolyn Mace's work, and I'm sitting on the couch and she's talking about this energy. And I'm like, those are the entanglement cords. That's what I see. And it was all about your biography. It was creating your biology, but it creates your life. And then Spirit introduced me to Dr. Joe Dispenza, all about the brain. I love the brain. My God, I love the brain. How do you know if Spirit is trying to contact you? Well, first of all, if you have fear, you need to deal with that and heal that, because if you are going to go through that filter to talk to Spirit, then you're going to always create a discouragement or have a fear that's going to make you feel like you're false. The best thing to do when you're working with trying to contact you, okay, you need to start building a filing cabinet inside your head. They're saying the first thing, if you can listen, even if you don't think you know songs, but if you get a song stuck in your head, you go and you look up the song. I mean, sometimes I only get a lyric and I'll look it up. Oh yeah, that's it. And I'll listen to it, and then I'll look at the words, and then I'll say, oh, that's what that song means. But it always will usually apply to my life. Now, because I'm intentionally, which is what you need, intentionally working with Spirit. When you're intentionally working with Spirit, you will pay attention to the signs that Spirit gives you. So if you have already said, if you talk to me through lyrics, then I know you're talking to me. And if, for one of the things I've had to learn is, like, if I know I've got a client, I will start to physically mimic, emotionally and thought processing mimic. And I've told them I don't like that. But by God, by the time that I get here into the studio to help them, I have it all, bam. It's like I got the little fine details. And it'll be like, whoa. And when I first started happening, I thought it was my issue. It helped me get so deep into knowing how to talk and communicate and to help this person help heal themselves. Other times it'll be, again, intentionally knowing is like, I'll get energy shifts. So, for example, okay. And so you just saw my energy shift. A lot of times I will teach people to take a ring, and that's your intention with a tool that says to Spirit, I'm ready to communicate. And if you sit there and you concentrate, you're working too hard. You sit back, like my one friend, she's not on right now, but they talk to her through physical form. Now, like they would do to me. They would create me to have gas, or because a lot of times you'll see me burp. Now, some people think that's rude, but that tells me many things, because it can be ungrounded. It could be that you're disgusted about something, or you can't digest stuff anymore. You can't take it anymore. You got you got acid reflux. It's just, there's so many things when it comes to physical symptoms. Pain in my side. If it's right here, then it's the liver, and if it's over here, it's the spleen. So education is what you need. Knowledge. If they're going to talk to you through the body, I advise you to get a medical book and say, that's where a bone is located. That is where the organ's located. That's where the glands are located. Because the more knowledge you have about something, the more that you're saying, okay, I'll talk to you this way. And therefore, when you have them, you're not going to go, oh my God, what's wrong with me? I need to go to the doctor. No, you can go, oh, wait, I don't think this is me. You'll begin to know where you end and others begin. And then you're like, okay, what is this? Because then your attention, instead of being inward, going, will be out. And then you'll begin to understand the sensory system part of you. You'll notice how you communicate through your sensory system. You understand? Inner, outer, but that's how we communicate. So I had a problem learning as a child, not because I was stupid. It was just that I had a problem learning as a child. And one of the things is, I think it's because I got in that car accident, but I had to write so I could feel what they were talking. That would drive some teachers nuts, but I would write what they say in my language so I could cope. And sometimes I would have to see it, but I always had to have a definition, and that was the knowing and the definition. And so I realized the more that I would read something and then I had to get a dictionary, I would always walk around with a dictionary because I couldn't understand anything I was reading. But the more that I would define certain words, and it wasn't always about where the verb or it's a noun, but it was about the defining of the word. And all of a sudden it lit up. So when I'm teaching, I will have emphasis and I'll say, these, look for the gems. And these are the clues, because when you begin to talk about certain things, you can really understand it. So your sensory system, people like to hear versus see. Some people like to smell. Now, how do you tap into that one? Well, sometimes you have to draw pictures, even though you think that's visual. Sometimes it's connected to the nose and the taste. Okay? Certain smells, certain things. Because if you're not grounded, we have to get you grounded. And the only way to get you grounded is understand you have a sensory system. And that sensory system is that you have to get it to understand that when you are grounding, it has a lot to do with whether you're safe, secure. Okay. And when you are safe and secure, you won't do self-preservation, which pulls you out of your learning process. Okay, let's see. And music, I love music. I mean, my God, I'll pick some oldies out. And you may catch me sometimes when I'm doing the reading. Like the other day I says, "You're my sunshine, my only sunshine." That was a personal song maybe for that person, and I don't have to address it any further. It'll trigger. Could be the fact that it's the way the singing of the voice was, not always good, but it's like, oh, my mother used to sing. And it's always about charades when it comes to talking to spirit. Don't interpret it through your knowledge alone on an ego negative level, because you're going to have a lot of misses when it comes to communicating with people. You need your experiences, you need your file system, but you need to keep your shit out of it, which means you need to move ego aside. When the only way you really can move ego aside is you have to understand what emotions are, but not be an emotion. So if you are in a negative state when you're trying to read and listen to spirit, you're going to get mixed readings, be all over the place. And it's because as you're trying to channel like one answer, you have 15,000 questions, and it's interfering with trying to get one answer. And then every time you switch your question, then the answer switches, but all you're thinking about is the first question you asked, and spirit has already answered this over here, and then you got nothing that matches. Yeah, and spirit will help you and move you. The hugest part is that if you don't heal your shit, you're going to get mixed signals. If you don't understand that your shit is interfering, like I physically couldn't do Reiki properly because of the way my nerves were, the way the energy would flow. And I thought, well, how the hell do I do that? My energy comes different. And so then I tapped into how my body works, and I got the same results, if not better. Um, Yeah, that's good. See, you're aware of the song too. The Pilly says, I ask my higher self a question, sometimes a song will come to my head. And if you go and define the lyrics of that, then usually you can get the answer to that they were talking to you about. Okay, songs. I love this one. You know who Betty Who is? And I can't remember the song right now. Something about I always love you or something like that. Anyways, it was my birthday a few years ago. And my mom's been dead for 92. And my sister's been dead maybe 4 or 5 years. I can't remember now. Me and my husband are driving home. And I had this sensation. Oh, another reason spirit can talk to you is because there'll be sensation. Sometimes it'll feel like a rim of a hat. Sometimes it'll be like an egg cracking on your head, or the seventh chakra opening, or it's just a sensation, depending on what direction. There's a lot of ways to teach this. But anyways, I'm in the car and I could feel this sensation come over me. I go, somebody's here. And he goes, oh, who's that? I said, I don't know. I think it's my mother. Oh, but I can feel my sister. Oh, Bonita's here. Okay, my sister's here. Whoa! And as I'm feeling this, my heart, I did not hear. I'm too busy listening to them, but my ears did not hear the song at first. But I swear to God, my mother turned it up. But my heart tuned into the radio, not my mind, my heart. And as I'm communicating with them, I could feel my heart open up. And then all of a sudden, I started to hear the song, and I started to pay attention to every word of that song. And I bawled my ass off because my mother and my sister are telling me how much they love me. And when my mother had these piercing, beautiful blue eyes. And of course, in the song, it talks about blue eyes. And when they show up to me, they're like this hazy mist sometimes. That's part of the beginning of the song. And I'm like, oh my God, my mother and my sister, my mother's teaching my sister how to do what she does from the other side, like giving me objects. Because you see that gray sweater right there? It has Bonita's name in it as a label. But it was left on a hiking trail where nobody is. And I had no one to give it to. And then when my husband, I lost it because I picked it up, I walked with it, and then I lost it. And I thought, oh, that's terrible. I lost it. I thought, no big deal. And then Alan, my husband's like, he says, no, I think Spirit wants me to go find it. And I'm like, really? Yeah, really. I said, okay. So he took off. He went back to the hiking trail, found it, came back, and he says, do you want to know why? And he says, something, I can't remember, he said something cheeky, and I said, oh, I don't know, whose is it? Who do you think it is? I don't know. He turns it over, and my sister's name there, and I just about fell to my knees. I'm crying. It's like, oh my God, my sister's learned what my mother taught her. But this birthday gift of this song, and just, I mean, and then the goosebumps and everything else. So, beautiful things can happen. Pilly, if Reiki is not enough for you, understand. Okay, like I know I have Dragon Reiki. Okay, so I know that regular Reiki is to bring that energy through to help heal you and to heal others. I don't know about other things except for the fact that the Dragon Reiki was intentionally done on a quantum level to be able to advance you on your spiritual path. That's why I want to begin to teach it and people feel it so they know that it's about awakening them up on your spiritual path. And Reiki was never enough for me. I mean, I was attuned, I can't remember how many times because I worked with the teacher. So I got the master teaching and I got all of that all the time. So I was attuned many, many times. So, and I understand, so I can get where I am today. But I burned myself out doing hands-on healing. I couldn't do just a straight Reiki. That'd drive me nuts. I said, Spirit, what's wrong with me? Why can't I sit here? Spirit says, because you're not designed that way. You're random energy. And it's like, oh. And understand I'm fire. So, oh. I have to own that part of myself. So what do? Spirit says, okay, you're going to study this, this. And then it was like one subject after another. Sometimes I'd have 4 or 5 subjects open, and I could never read a book straight through. It was pick it up, read. Oh yeah. And then I had to soak that in, and oh yeah. And then I see how everything was connected. Spirit sculpted me. Books, my God, I can have, just like songs. You can move. Hey, there's my cousin. You can move quite far in your life if you allow yourself to tap into that heart of yours. But you got to heal up those filters of fear, because if you have fear in your way, you're not going to be able to move forward. Getting back to, if you're going to be a reader or you're going to communicate with spirit, stop being so negative. And you may think that you're not negative, but if you haven't flipped from that paradigm of negative thinking, which is a force, and moved yourself into power, into the empowerment, which is personal life force power. It is the Spirit of God, which is about love. And if you haven't moved there, you won't know that you're talking negative. Whoops. You won't know you're talking negative. But if you pay attention to words, like you can tell when you talk in the past, present, or future. A lot of jokes are all about negativity. And I'm not talking about a joke. It's like, oh yeah, yeah, I didn't do my hair today. Yeah, I'm always ugly. Things like that. You may not think that means anything, but it does when you're talking about law of attraction, or you're talking about universe responding to you. What do you mean human design? Spirit goes, what? So now you got me stumped on that one. Yeah, no, I'm really curious. These classes that I'm going to be doing are different levels, but it's taking that information and putting it down, because everybody's so unique. Because if I even put into baby steps, some people are going to be, yawn, she can't teach me anything. Well, you haven't gone to the next step, or you haven't gone. So it's like, how do you know where to go? And so you have to start off on square one and not worry about what other people think, but to apply. The fact is, it's about growth. And you're in kindergarten right now. Let's move you up. And sometimes you have to use certain analogies to get you there. Are you talking about cloning? You talking about, so that depends on. It depends on your question, because they got a zillion things that just zap into my head. And if you haven't noticed, my eyes are changing as far as energy. They're not sure which way to plug in. That's funny. You guys have been really good, really great. I like this format. I think a part of me might do this again. I've got another fan page and another personal page, so you may end up finding me doing it again way over on another format, or same format but different pages. I'll have to look that up, Pam, because if it's about human design, that's what I type into YouTube. Because now I'm very curious, and then we can get on the same wavelength. We can do that. So, comments, feedbacks. Some people have said, well, I've already recommended you once, but I can't seem to recommend you again. Well, you can get on my other fan page and recommend me there too, if you want. Oh, yeah. Oh, there's a lot of good information, Lisa. It's Spirit wanted to chat today, and that's what I said I would do. There goes my voice. I think they're trying to tell me it's time for me to cut out. But yes, I am almost there, people, and I know that I'll be gone to the 20th of, I should say, not being near a computer, or doing my best not to be near a computer. It is that download time to separate the energies and to cleanse and to clear and to get reconnected to the earth. And let's see, bring it on, Spirit, a date for a wedding. Who's going to get married? You? Oh, now you got me curious. But afterwards, and I had thrown out there that December maybe for Reiki, doing the Reiki Dragon, but now I haven't had much feedback and I haven't made a meme. So part of me is like, do I wait until after Christmas? Oh, I appreciate that. Thank you. Oh, you wanted a date, not a date as in 12/12, but you want a date. Okay, yes, thank you, Spirit. Spirit, could you line Lenny up with a gentleman that is, and it's not just a date, not just a bad. Yeah, there he is. Line him up. So thank you, Spirit. It is done, and so be it. Lenny, keep your eyes open and put yourself in just allow Spirit to put yourself in different positions to find it. Spirit took you literally when it said date, like in calendar date, but no, they got it now. Tee. That's funny. Well, you guys have been wonderful. Thank you very much. Share again, all of this. I want to keep doing what Spirit wants to do, and I will. I don't know. I know. I'm learning all the little tiny things. And so by you guys having all your wonderful feedback, Spirit says that's what it wanted me for you to experience. It wanted to understand that helps boost the ratings every time you hit like, every time you shared, every time you commented. Apparently all those are very important. It's just that it's hard to do when when I want to do readings because it's like I've got to follow the order. I have so much editing to do, but I'll get there. All right. What do I always love to say? Stay blessed.